Yo, what is going on? Cover One crew, Chris House back again with you. Hope everybody's doing great out there. Hope you had a wonderful time off during the Christmas break. I know I did. I spent some time with the fam. Hope you guys did as well. But what are we back here for? Week number 17, Waiver Wire Additions, Fantasy Football Finals, little championship assistance off the waiver wire if you require it. Hopefully my advice has helped you guys along the way through the entire season. It's been a joy and a pleasure and an honor to give you guys advice and help you guys out through the long journey. But I'm telling y'all, we got some players, and basically if you made it to the finals, you probably don't require a lot of help off the waiver wire. But if you kind of want that niche play, that one big explosive play, I got you covered, man. There are some players we can peg off this waiver wire for week number 16 to hoist those trophies. Let's go. Follow me, and I'll get you there. So like I mentioned, we are here. This is the final week, championship time, big money leagues. Let's hoist those trophies. And let's start with these running backs as per usual. James Cook, and I'm so happy. I'm wearing my Bills gear because I'm excited. We got a big game versus Cincinnati Bengals, but James Cook is my top running back off the waiver wire. And you know what? When you go back, if you guys are familiar with my work from before, you would have seen my scouting report on a James Cook. I had him pegged as a lesser type of Alvin Kamara. Not necessarily, full-on Alvin Kamara, but I love the wheels. The speed was always there. People questioned his vision. I never did. The vision was definitely there. He had the benefit of having trio backfields at UGA. Now the wheels are coming off, or they're letting him run, I should say, but he's got fresh legs is basically the point in the trio backfield at Georgia. And this is going to be in the benefit, especially in how Buffalo is starting to unleash this man just a little bit more as we get closer to the playoffs. We're not seeing that extra stutter step from a James Cook anymore in the backfield. He's starting to figure things out. He's seeing his holes. He's trusting his vision, and he's pow through the line. James Cook, baby. 49.4% people starting to get on board. 89 points on the season. They are going up against those Cincinnati Bengals in a massive Monday Night Football showcase. And this is the only problem about picking up a James Cook this week to play him is that you got to wait until Monday night to suit him up on your fantasy roster. So unless you're really desperate and struggling for running backs, there is high-end upside and a very big ceiling now for a James Cook. They're starting to utilize the ground game that much more, which is going to make this offense so much more dangerous and multidimensional as they continue to move down the path of the rest of the season. The issue has been the Bills have been playing in horrific weather the past few weeks. Now, hopefully, we're not going to see weather in Cincinnati this week on Monday night. James Cook is a definite must-add for y'all this week. Tyler Algier continues. Didn't have the greatest game as he did the week before, but volume is still key. As Desmond Ridder continues to get his feet wet, there still will be a boatload of volume coming to Algier's way, and they sprinkled in a little bit more of Cordero Patterson, but they want to see what they got in Algier for the following season, so he definitely should get a lot more touches again in this contest. Gus Edwards for those Baltimore Ravens taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers this week. And, they kind of dumped the bed for us. J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, and company. They did not look great. They kind of managed the clock in the game. The weather was also not very good. Hopefully they get Lamar Jackson back. If Lamar does come back this week, we could see a good, steady usage of a Gus Edwards and a J.K. Dobbins. So he has a very low floor, but there is potential for him to see goal line upside work and short yardage work, and maybe he pops one off and breaks one. So there's an option for you with Gus Edwards. Not highly coveted at this point, but there is an option if you're stuck, man. Khalil Herbert taking on those Detroit Lions. Okay, he came back from the hip injury. Came off the IR, first game back. Freezing cold weather up in Chicago. Now they're going to be up under the dome in Detroit. Khalil Herbert, man, before he went on to the IR, he was basically the best back Chicago did have. He was outproducing David Montgomery, and you had to love it. So Khalil Herbert against a very porous Detroit Lions run defense. He could be a start, man. He could be a flex play for y'all this week. If you need a running back or a better option, Khalil Herbert is definitely one to covet, man. 34% on the waiver wire, 104 points before he went to the IR, basically. Didn't get much traction versus the Buffalo Bills this past week, but Khalil Herbert is legit. He is a dog, and he will get you points. Chuba Hubbard taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this week, and it's not a great matchup. So, unless you're dead desperate, then you go after a Chuba Hubbard because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense is still very good, but he is still noticeable and a notable addition if you're stuck at the running back position, man. The quarterbacks, Let's go, man. Brock Purdy continues his path. I don't know where, I watched a ton of Iowa State games when Brock Purdy was there simply because Breece Hall was my guy. I was always scouting up Breece Hall's game, and Brock did not look this good at Iowa State, and you got to think, okay, maybe it was offensive line, but then Breece ran the hell out of the ball, so it wasn't offensive line. Was it the receiving corps? Very possible, but basically they only had tight ends always at Iowa State, so you got to think that Brock Purdy, under Kyle Shanahan, he just gets it, and the intelligence is obviously key, why they wanted him there. He's not an elite athletic superstar talent, but he just understands how to play in the Shanahan system, and he's repaying everybody with fantasy points. Going up against the Las Vegas Raiders, you couldn't hope for a better streaming quarterback option with a matchup play like this versus the Raiders, who struggle to stop anybody. 72.4 points, 32% ownership for Brock Purdy. We got Gardner Minshew on the list as the next quarterback on my board. This comes with a stipulation. It's only if Jalen Hurts is still going to miss this game. We are seeing rumor early that he may not suit up. Jalen Hurts may not suit up again this week. So Gardner Minshew puts up the 25 points. And, he looked good against the Dallas Cowboys. Yes, you're going to still get some interceptions. You might get some fumbles because that's just the way he plays ball. He's a gunslinger. He's going to throw some picks. But this offense is too damn good in Philadelphia. And Gardner Minshew could definitely be a serviceable quarterback option to give you anywhere from 15 to 22 points any given week because of guys like A.J. Brown and Smith. You gotta love it. 27% ownership, and I'm telling y'all, man, going up against the New Orleans Saints defense, and this team is ready to, call it a day for the season. Gardner Minshew, barring any, start for a Jalen Hurts, Gardner Minshew could be your streaming guy this week. Mike White, he hasn't been cleared the past 2 weeks, but, all the writing's on the wall. Hearing rumor that the Jets are already, saying they're going to move on from second-round pick Zach Wilson in this offseason. If you can believe it, what a crazy show that has been. And, you got to feel for Zach Wilson at this point. Yes, he seems like he's an arrogant dude. He's not willing to learn, but, that's only how we see it from the, watching his game, watching his interviews. But Mike White might be the guy that they want to look to as he started to pick up his game. Hopefully he comes back because he's got a decent matchup versus the Seattle Seahawks. The secondary in Seattle is still very good. So, that is kind of a, there's a staple on that to say that the top end level of point productivity from Mike White may not be there. So definitely caution that. Kenny Pickett, on the other hand, small hands Pickett, big hands Pickett, he doesn't have them. No hands Pickett, he's still throwing touchdowns, and he's starting to figure things out also and move the ball. 10.9% ownership. So again, if you've been a streaming quarterback player the entire season, you probably already got yourself somebody, but Kenny Pickett versus the Ravens defense in Baltimore, he's got 134 points. Found George Pickens late at the end of the game. Yes, the floor is a little bit lower, man. 13 to 16 points is kind of where you're going. But, if you had any other options, you could do a lot worse than small hands Pickett. Moving right along to wide receivers, we got Jahan Dotson. I told you guys last week, if you did not listen to me, you lost out on a nice 16-plus points, half PPR, because Jahan Dotson is that dog, man. He is that guy you're looking for. And now with their flirting with the option with Carson Wentz being the starting quarterback over a Taylor Heineke, you got to love what you see from Jahan Dotson. He's going up against these Cleveland Browns this week, which should be another good show. Terry's going to be locked up by Desmond Ward, and you're going to have a open field to run for Jahan Dotson. I love it all day long. Jahan is my guy, man. I told y'all last week, go pick him up. Go pick him up again this week, and he is going to be a definite start for y'all. 99.2 points. If he didn't get hurt this year, no kidding, he could have been around the 800-yard mark, 7 to 10 touchdowns. Jahan Dotson is a must-add this week. No kidding about that. Even if it is just to block your opponent, I'm telling y'all, Jahan Dotson is a guy you got to pick up. DJ Chark, once again, is on my list as being one of those guys. Get you almost 13 points this past week, half PPR. He's going up against Chicago Bears, who have seen better days in that past secondary, and they're going to be comfortable in the weather under the dome. You got to love that, man. So DJ Chark, 73.7 points since coming back from his injury. He has been a staple in this Detroit Lions offense that you can trust. 40.9% ownership. I believe I just said that, but hey, it's worth a second suggestion because DJ Chark is playing some damn good football. Kadarius Toney finds his way back on the list, and oh my God, can we trust a Kadarius Toney? This is the problem, okay? The Kansas City Chiefs continue to spread the ball around to anybody that's open. Patrick Mahomes taking what the defense is giving him. Kadarius Toney finds his way into the end zone once again. 34.3% ownership rate this week. Going up against the Denver Broncos. Stout defense. Well, it wasn't very stout this past week. It got Nathaniel Hackett fired. 50 points to the LA Rams and Baker Mayfield. you got to think, man, the Denver Broncos defense, they're done, man. It's game over. They're not playing for Russell Wilson. Patrick Mahomes and company could put up another 50 spot on this team, and Kadarius Toney could be a very viable play. Very much high risk, though, in that because he could see only 3-4 targets in this contest, give you only 30 yards and 2 receptions. But if he finds his way into the end zone, that's a nice flex play all day long. Isaiah McKenzie taking on those Cincinnati Bengals. It's an interesting play because the Bills going up against the Bengals, they haven't faced a team like this in a while who's going to go, pound for pound, blow for blow, offensive punch. And I think that the Bills and Josh Allen are going to be ready to play. Isaiah McKenzie might have a very big role in this contest as well because everybody's pegging on that Stephon Diggs. Gabe Davis gets secondary key. But, Isaiah McKenzie, this could be his week where he's going to pop off in a big way. Again, high risk, but there could be very much high reward in that respect. Hunter Renfrow, third and Renfrow. He comes back, and, he's okay. He comes back, and he scores a touchdown. What else can you say? One of the best route-running slot wide receivers in the entire NFL. They're taking on the 49ers, which is a tall task in itself. I don't know what's going on with the Las Vegas Raiders. They're not targeting Devontae Adams. Josh Jacobs is extremely frustrated and angry. They're going to have to throw the ball. The 49ers defense is so good. You got to know that Derek Carr is going to be under duress for basically the entire contest. So hopefully, Renfrow gets you anywhere from 5 to 6 receptions. It's going to be light, man. It's probably going to be around 55, 60 yards, but maybe he saves his day once again with a touchdown in the red zone if they get there. Romeo Doubs. This is a big one because Christian Watson, again, he pulled himself basically out of that game last week. Basically said on the sidelines to a teammate, he's like, yeah, I'm done. I can't go anymore. Maybe that lingers this week. If that does, Romeo Doubs could be a very big play as the wide receiver 1 for an Aaron Rodgers as they continue to fight for their playoff lives. Minnesota is the matchup that Romeo Doubs does have, and the Minnesota Vikings secondary has also seen better days as of late. So, they give up a lot of point productivity to the pass game. You got to know Aaron Rodgers is going to be up for this one, and versus these Minnesota Vikings on the frozen tundra, Romeo Doubs could give you some decent productivity, man. Robinson from the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens basically have no wide receivers. He is the default wide receiver 1. He's got 75 points on the season. If Lamar Jackson does come back, I do say Robinson is a very good play for y'all. If it's still Huntley, I'm going to move on and say do not do that. Do not pick him up. But if I'm telling y'all, watch the key for Lamar. If he's going to suit up in this contest, then Robinson could be a decent flex play for y'all. Tight ends, let's finish this thing off. Mike Gesicki. Everyone's going to say, what are you smoking? Why you got Mike Gesicki on this? Listen, hear me out. Tua Tagovailoa, third concussion. He is now placed in concussion protocol once again, third time for the season. This is a big problem for Tua. He may have a very short career in the NFL if he continues to sustain these head injuries. Why is Mike Gesicki on this list? Because then it would probably be Teddy Bridgewater or Skylar Thompson. So you got to see who's going to be starting quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. What do they go to, man? If it is Teddy loves the tight ends. Mike Gesicki gets back on the map instantly because he will have red zone appeal and he will have the safe options and checkdowns from a Teddy. If it is Skylar Thompson, same deal. Inexperienced quarterback, he's going to throw to the tight end spot. Mike Gesicki gets a massive uplift this week, 35% ownership, going up against the New England Patriots, who also have seen better days and they struggle at times cover the tight end. Gesicki is on the radar. Noah Fant, 31.9% owned. Going up against the New York Jets. Now they lost, Tyler Lockett was out. Yes, they were going up against the Kansas City Chiefs, but now you got Marquise Goodwin. He's out. They're going to have to go to somebody else, and the next experienced pass-catching option is Noah Fant in this offense, so he will definitely get a massive uptick outside of a DK Metcalf. So Noah Fant to me versus the New York Jets. Very much stout defense. This is kind of a revenge game for Geno Smith, too, if you want to think about it that way. I think Noah Fant could have a very big day for tight end productivity. Taysom Hill for notable additions. Again, he's boomer bust every single week, but with the injuries that the offense does have, Chris Olave's hamstring, we'll see if it does come back, but if it doesn't, Taysom Hill going up against these Philadelphia Eagles who have lost Maddox on the defensive back end, so they're going to have to tighten up a little bit. There's going to be holes for this, offense to move, and it's going to be Taysom Hill. He could definitely get you in the end zone and be a decent tight end play for you. Hunter Henry going up against the Miami Dolphins. You got to think that Bill Belichick wants to ruin Miami's season, and he could do it in a big way. Hunter Henry, I have been off the bandwagon the entire year, but he is back on it this week versus the Miami Dolphins. Just seems to always play very good football versus these Miami Dolphins, and he could find the end zone once again. Excuse me, but I'm calling it right now. There is a possible chance that Hunter Henry does find the end zone. Hayden Hurst going up against the Buffalo Bills. This is only if he does come back from that calf injury. He's been out for several weeks right now, but the Cincinnati Bengals desperately require another tight end, but they have been utilizing that Irwin kid a lot. So, I mean, I could suggest that for the wide receiver spot, but I won't do that. That's too risky for me. If Hayden Hurst does come back, then Irwin will probably be out the door, and you're going to see Hurst, try to carve up the Bills' defense over the middle in that safe area for Joe Burrow, man. Juwan Johnson for the New Orleans Saints. You miss out on Taysom Hill and Chris Olave does not come back, then Johnson would be your guy because he still does have a lot of, upside when it comes to athletic ability. Going up against the Philadelphia Eagles defense that has seen better, or has injuries, I should say, on that defensive backfield. Johnson could have a big day and find his way into the end zone for you. But like I said, tight ends is very tough this year. There are some streaming options. I would definitely go with Noah Fant first, Mike Gesicki number 2, likely if Teddy Bridgewater plays, then we'll see how that goes. But there's your tight ends and your waiver wires for week number 17. There it is. That is week number 17, waiver wire playoff help. Must-add players, potential add players. I don't know, however you want to cut it. There is some possibilities for points to be scored off this waiver wire to get you that championship trophy. This is what it's all about. I'm so excited. I can't wait to get this week started, man. I got Thursday Night Football starts it for you guys on Saturday, or Saturday once again this week, to get you guys ready for this week's contest. It's going to be glorious, man. Do me that favor. Smash that like button for me. Subscribe to the channel if you do like the content. Definitely helps us grow this channel that much more. But nevertheless, as always, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments, give me your thoughts, and we'll see you next time. I am out.